And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And boy, oh boy, have we got a show for you today. You know, I just didn't know how to tell you. We just got such a special show. Let me tell you that on today's show, we're going to be discussing what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails like I do every single day. But on today's show, we're going to have a series that we've been doing now on Wednesdays, and that's a series on tax tips. And then after that, we're going to have Joel Saltzman here, Dr. Wireless. He'll be talking about new technology and wireless systems, the stuff that he saw at the wireless show. He's been trying to say that for a couple of weeks, but he's been really busy, so hopefully we'll get into that right now. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. And certainly at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 74 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. I mean, it is sunny, it is beautiful, it is clear, it's crisp, it's absolutely wonderful. Well, let's talk about the 10 things that you need to know for today, Wednesday. These we've encapsulated them, so we just kind of abbreviated them so you know what's going on. And we'll get a little bit more in depth after this. You know, first off, this is your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow as well. First off, what's weighing on voters' minds? Well, at least 8 in 10 voters who took part in primaries in Michigan and Mississippi say they are worried about where the American economy is heading, and thousands are hoping to reach Europe dealt the setback. Here's the thing. The main Balkan migration route has been closed, with Slovenia now demanding valid European Union visas at its borders. And a Chicago man is charged in a boy's shocking death. Authorities say the man initially planned to cut the fingers and ears off the 9-year-old son. Got that? 9-year-old son of a member of a rival gang, but ended shooting him after luring him into an alley. Wow. 9 years old. How bad? Geez. How about this? Palestinians unleash a shooting and stabbing attacks. It's the latest in a wave of nearly daily assaults on Israeli civilians and security forces. The dead include an American tourist. And how views on Zika are changing. The World Health Organization says that reports from several countries suggest that sexual transmission of the virus is more common than previously thought. And International Women's Day highlights a gender divide. One sobering stat, more than 63 million girls are excluded from school in more than 200 countries across the world. Can you imagine? And who drew blueprint for Nancy Reagan's funeral? The upcoming services were planned down to the smallest detail by the former First Lady herself. They call that planning. Well, Obama's nearly daily trips to the gym are paying off. The president is in excellent health and is getting into even better shape, lowering his cholesterol and gaining muscle since his last exam, his personal physician reports. And the face and more that launched 1,000 quips. Kim Kardashian's West's nude selfie is the jumping off point for a Twitter tussle. And finally, NFL free agents are poised to hit the market. A spending spree by teams seeking talent seems likely since the league's salary cap has been raised about $12 million to $155.27 million. Go figure. Yeah, how about this? Let's talk about after the Trump endorsement, NASCAR leader faces the fallout. When Brian France endorsed Donald Trump for president, the chairman and chief executive of NASCAR thought of it as nothing more than a routine endorsement. He's been dealing with the fallout ever since. France's decision to personally back the front runner for the Republican nomination has roiled a sport his family built from the ground up. It's threatened a decade of work to broaden NASCAR's appeal among minorities, upset one of the most powerful teams in the sport, and risked a break with the corporate sponsors that are its financial lifeblood. It was, frankly, very surprised, he was actually, that my diversity efforts for my whole career would have been called into question over this. In my view, a routine endorsement, France said. Today, in an interview with the Associated Press, France acknowledged he's had to have conversations with sponsors since making the endorsement, which came as NASCAR is seeking a new main sponsor for its top series. I made a few phone calls and clarified some things, he said. That kind of goes with the territory. Well, you know what? I guess you got to be careful these days, don't you? Yeah, you sure as heck do. That's for sure. Well, whether or not his stakes are for sale, Trump's brand absolutely thrives. Whether or not you can buy Donald Trump steaks and whether or not he wins the Republican presidential nomination, one thing is for sure. Trump, the brand, is alive and well. Trump brandished steak, wine, and water at his press conference today, or yesterday, or last night for that matter, at the Trump National Golf Course in Jupiter, Florida. The press conference took place after Trump won Republican primaries in Michigan and Mississippi. But what got as much attention as Trump's success at the polls was his display of Trump products. I think what Trump did last night was absolutely genius for his brand, said Deborah Niger, who owns MedShop.com, a New York City-based online medical supply company. It is the dream of every company to get their name in major publications. What Trump did last night, in one fell swoop, was to get his brands talked about across every single major media outlet without spending a penny. Go figure, boy. I mean, is that genius or what? Just think about it. They can have all the controversy they want, but bam, it's out there for millions and millions of people to see. Well, Somali forces killed 10 extremists in the Somalia. Hoping to capture a high-profile target, Somalia forces hopped off helicopters a couple of miles from an al-Shabaab-controlled town, slipped through the dark, and got into a fierce firefight that reportedly killed more than 10 Islamic extremists, U.S. and Somali officials said. U.S. forces were serving in an advisory role and provided the helicopter transportation for the mission, said Navy Captain Jeff Davis, a Pentagon spokesman. The U.S. forces accompanied the Somali troops on the mission, but did not go all the way to the objective, he said. A Somali intelligence official told the Associated Press that the person they wanted to get was apparently killed during the fight. Well, I would certainly hope so, if that's what their intention was. Well, Iran fires 2 missiles marked with Israel, but must be wiped out. Here's the thing. Iran test-launched 2 ballistic missiles Wednesday, emblazoned with the phrase, "Israel must be wiped out." In Hebrew, Iranian media reported. In a show of power by the Shiite nation as U.S. Vice President Joe Biden visited Jerusalem. The new missile firings were the latest in a series of tests in recent days aimed at demonstrating that Iran will push ahead with its ballistic program after scaling back its nuclear program under the deal reached last year with the U.S. and other world powers. Israel, long an opponent of Iran, offered no comment on the test, though Biden issued a strong warning over any possible violation of the nuclear deal. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Don't go away, though, because when we come back after these breaks, we're going to talk about Iraqi officials. They say the U.S. captured a top Islamic State chemical arms engineer. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. And right now, the United States has captured a top Islamic State chemical arms engineer. U.S. Special Forces captured the head of the Islamic State group's unit trying to develop chemical weapons in a raid last month in northern Iraq. Iraqi and U.S. officials told the Associated Press the first known major success of Washington's more aggressive policy of pursuing Islamic State militants on the ground. You know, the Obama administration launched the new strategy in December, deploying a commando force to Iraq that it said would be dedicated to capturing and killing IS leaders in clandestine operations, as well as generating intelligence leading to more raids. U.S. officials said last week that the expeditionary team had captured an Islamic State leader but had refused to identify him, saying only that he had been held for 2 or 3 weeks and was being questioned. Wow. You know what? I wonder how much of this goes on. There's so much going on. Why do they leak the stuff they leak, and why do they not leak the stuff they don't leak? I mean, you just find it fascinating, right? Well, here's from Seoul, Korea. North Korea fires a short-range missiles amid war games. North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the sea today. South Korea's military said a likely show of anger at continuing springtime war games by rivals Washington and Seoul, and another ratcheting up of hostility on the already anxious Korean peninsula. The South Korean Defense Ministry says the missiles were fired from North Hwanghae province, flew about 310 miles and fell into the water off the country's east coast. Such missile firings by the North are not uncommon when animosity rises here. North Korea hates the massive annual military drills staged by Seoul and Washington, calling them invasion preparations. The Allies call the drills, which this year are described as the biggest ever, defensive and routine. Pyongyang is also angry over tough United Nations sanctions following its recent nuclear test and long-range rocket launch. The firings came a day after North Korea caused a new stir by publicizing a purported mock-up of a key part of a nuclear warhead, with leader Kim Jong-un repeating a claim that his country has developed miniaturized atomic bombs that can be placed on missiles. You know what? This young kid is going to find himself getting his country into the kind of trouble they just can't get out of. You know what? I could just see them shooting off a nuclear weapon, it not landing where it's supposed to land, and the United States just vaporizing North Korea. That's what the future is, that this kid keeps playing games. That's what I think anyway. Well, think of this. A tampon tax. Does being female in the United States carry an unfair cost? Well, you know what? Margot Siebert, Natalie Brasington don't think women should have to pay a period tax. And like a growing number of other women, they are publicly questioning whether being female in the United States carries unfair costs. The pair are among 5 New York City women who filed a lawsuit last week arguing that it was unconstitutional for the state to levy sales tax on tampons and sanitary napkins while offering medical product exemptions to many other items used by both genders, like lip balm, foot powder, and dandruff shampoo. The case, they say, is about more than the few cents in tax levied on each pack. Sick of the social taboo and frustrated by the lack of access for some of to stable, these women and others are talking very publicly about menstruation and gaining political traction that would have been impossible a generation ago. Wow, a sales tax. You know what? I got to tell you, I think they're right. What do you think? You can always let me know. Well, 2 Baltimore officers are charged in a recorded assault on a teen. 2 officers who policed Baltimore's public schools walked out of jail today, pending trial for assault and misconduct after their violent confrontation with a student was recorded by another teenager. Both have checkered records, prompting parents and authorities alike to question whether enough is being done to prevent violent people from being hired to keep school children peaceful and safe. Police said today that Severna Bias allegedly told her fellow officer, Anthony Spence, to use force against the teen. According to a witness, she said, "You need to smack him because he's got too much mouth," police said. The video shows Spence shouting profanities as he repeatedly slaps and kicks the boy, telling him to leave the school and go home. Spence was not trying to arrest the 10th grader. By the way, that would be a sophomore. Neither was he acting in reasonable self-defense, city police said. At a packed school board meeting yesterday, some parents and principals implored officials to keep officers in the schools for everyone's safety. Students and their advocates countered that having armed police with insufficient oversight in schools can be damaging and dangerous. Boy, here, I believe that. You know what? It's just another abuse, I think. Well, lead fear forces water ban in 30 New Jersey school buildings. Elevated levels of lead caused officials in New Jersey's largest school district today to shut off water fountains at 30 school buildings until more tests are conducted, but officials said they don't believe the contamination poses any serious health risks. Newark school cities, public schools notified the State Department of Environmental Protection on Monday that annual testing found levels ranging from non-detected to above the Environmental Protection Agency's action level for lead, which is 15 parts per billion. That level requires additional testing, monitoring, and remediation. The DEP has requested test results from previous years to be able to do a complete analysis. No building had more than 4 samples above the action level, the DEP said in a statement. Well, God only knows what's going to happen there, but I can tell you what's going to happen here. We're going to go on a commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case today is the IRS cannot extend the statute of limitations without omitted income. And I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his Business Show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. I've got 3 great cases for you. The first one, as I mentioned before we went on our break, the IRS cannot extend the statute of limitations without omitted income. So let me explain that. The IRS assessed tax against a partnership, saying that its partners had overstated their tax basis in it, which caused their income from it to be understated. Now, the partnership objected that the 3-year statute of limitations had expired before the assessment. The IRS answered that the partners had understated their income by more than 25%, so the limitation period was extended to 6 years. So the partnership, they went to court to get some justice here. This is what the judge said. The 6-year period applies only when a return omits 25% of gross income, not when net income is miscalculated using items reported on the return as here. Omits means something left out, not something put in and overstated. The partnership escapes the tax. Now we're talking. How about this? The IRS loses. They cannot get a case dismissed on a technicality. Well, you'd think so, right? But listen to this. A company filed a wrongful levy suit against the IRS, which answered that the deadline for doing so had already passed. The company replied that it had first made an administrative request to the IRS to return the funds, which extended the deadline. The IRS answered that this would extend the deadline only if the request met several technical requirements. Since the company had to prove it did, but it hadn't attached a copy to its case filing to prove it, its case file was defective. They went to court. This is what the judge said. You know what? It's too soon to discuss the case on this technicality. The company will get a chance to produce a copy of the request to prove that it met all the requirements. Shame on the IRS. You know what? Reduce it on a technicality, not on what's right and what's wrong. Shame on them. Well, here's another case the IRS lost. The delay costs a tax in 22 cases. Get this. The tax code says that after a partnership settles a dispute with the IRS has 1 year to assess the resulting tax due against the partners personally as individuals. So here's the case. A complex partnership dispute consolidating 22 court cases was settled by an exchange of letters between the partners and the IRS. But the IRS didn't assess tax against the partners within a year, so they said that they escaped it. The IRS answered that the settlement wouldn't be final until a closing agreement was actually signed. They went to court. This is what the judge said. The letters agreeing to settlement were legally binding on both sides. In them, the IRS never required a closing agreement. It can't do so after the fact. So the partners, escape the tax. And now that's the way you want it to be, right? Absolutely. Now, you've heard me talking about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. That's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It's a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Oh, yeah, here we are inside the Twilight Zone. These are not tax court cases, but these are precedents and things that the IRS has said that you can actually use to your benefit, if you apply them properly. Here's the first one. Suppose you haven't filed your tax return for several years, and the IRS sends you a letter saying that it wants to audit you. Here's your best approach. Retain a knowledgeable tax attorney to contact the IRS agent and say when the agent can expect to receive your delinquent returns. Now, a date for the audit can be scheduled at that time or a new date if an audit had already been scheduled. And next, retain an accountant to prepare your tax returns absolutely correctly. Now is not the time to take aggressive tax positions. But be careful. Do not call the IRS agent yourself to explain why you failed to file. This admission could be used against you if the IRS later decides to prosecute you for a tax crime. So, you know what? Let that attorney do their job, or that professional. How about this? Charitable contributions made to an organization cannot be earmarked for the benefit of a particular individual. Now, a common but technically not allowable practice is for a church or a synagogue to raise money to benefit a member who has suffered a tragedy. Now, the better approach? Donations to the charity should be solicited for general purposes, but can then be used by the leadership as they see fit, including to help a specific family or individual congregant. Special exception here is based on a recent IRS ruling. Donations solicited for families of firefighters killed in the line of duty or any place in the country now are going to be an exception to that. Those are always going to be able to be specific. So that's good news, I would say, for everybody. Now, I want to remind everyone that we're interested in you getting our app. Our app's absolutely free. If you've got an Apple product, go to the Apple Store and just search Robert Cardoza Live and download the app. It's absolutely free. And if we're broadcasting live like we are right now, you'll be able to, it'll have a little flag there that says live, and you'll be able to listen listen to us live. If you're just listening to one of our archive shows, there's a little information insignia there, and you just tap on that, and it'll tell you what that particular show is all about. And if you've got an Android or a Windows product, just go to googleplay.com and again, search Robert Cardoza Live, and it's right there, and it's free. We encourage you to tell all your friends about our apps and tell all your friends about our show for that matter. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I am going to talk to you about how to beat the toughest penalties in the tax code. You do not want to miss this. I'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. Still 74 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 52 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our global syndicate, you're in New York City, I can tell you it's 69 degrees and clear there right now. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it's 61 degrees and overcast. But you know what we're going to do right now? Right now, we're going to really bend your ear. I'm going to tell you how to beat one of the toughest penalties in the tax code. And preserve your retirement funds at the same time. Listen to this. From 401k plans to IRAs to a host of other plans, deferring tax in a retirement account often makes sense. The tax benefits won't go on forever, though. At some point, you'll have to withdraw funds and pay tax. Now, how about your own accounts? Required minimum distributions, or RMDs, generally must begin by April 1st of the year after the year that you reach 70 and a half. Now, inherited accounts, beneficiaries also must take RMDs and pay tax. Often, the schedule is based on the beneficiary's life expectancy and requires minimum distributions beginning in the year after the account owner's death. If you don't withdraw at least the amount of the RMD, you'll be slapped with one of the highest penalties in the tax code, 50% of the shortfall. Wow. So let's talk about some ways to avoid it. I'll talk about a flex plan. Now, RMDs must be made from traditional IRAs, not Roth IRAs, and from employer-sponsored retirement plans. Now, for employer plans, RMDs can be deferred as long as you keep working if you own less than 5% of the company, as long as the plan allows it. Here's a trap, though. RMDs apply to all of your retirement accounts, which may be scattered. Now, here's an example of that. You have, let's say, a $400,000 IRA with a mutual fund company and 3 other IRAs totaling $50,000 with 3 different banks. Your RMD for the year is based on $450,000. If you take an RMD based only on the $400,000, you'll owe a 50% penalty on the RMD based on the difference. Now, that's tough stuff. How about a flex plan? Say your RMD for the year is $18,000. That $18,000 may come from just one of your IRAs or from more than one account, as long as you withdraw the correct amount. The government doesn't care which of your accounts, subject to the RMD, that you actually tap. Now take note, this only applies to IRAs. RMDs from qualified plans must be figured separately for each plan. So, you talk about shifting into automatic? Well, one way that you can avoid RMD penalties is to make advance arrangements with all of the financial firms holding your retirement accounts to automatically distribute RMDs. What to arrange? Well, every month or every quarter, money can be transferred from each IRA directly to your bank account or money market fund. How about over-the-limit stuff? Well, such transfers can be designed to meet the RMD rules, which set out minimum withdrawals. You can take out larger amounts if you need the cash and are willing to pay the required tax. How about meeting deadlines? You know, regardless of whether you have arranged for automatic RMDs, be vigilant about taking necessary withdrawals. Now, due date. Think of this. Except for the initial April 1st deadline, all RMDs must be made by December the 31st of each year. Now go to IRA expert Ed Slott's website at www.irahelp.com to see the IRS tables that you can use to calculate RMDs, or visit the IRS site at www.irs.gov. Well, how about spotting a shortfall? Part of your year-end tax planning can be checked to see that you comply with the RMD rules by December 31st. Now, after the fact, you can double-check on your RMDs during the beginning of each year when you prepare your income tax return for the preceding year. What do you look for? Forms 1099-R, which you receive at the start of the year, where distributions from IRAs and other retirement vehicles during the previous year are reported by the firms holding the assets. Compare these reported distributions with your RMD. Strategy: if you see that you have not complied with the RMD rules, act immediately to make a required withdrawal. Let me give you an example. Let's just say Carol Smith's RMD for last year is $50,000. In early last year, she sees that early this year, she sees that only $10,000 has been reported on forms 1099-R. Carol can immediately withdraw $40,000 from her IRA, which she will report as income for 2008. she should also make sure to take the required RMD for for this year, and take by December 31st of this year. So you can take them both. But now Carol faces a 50% penalty on inadequate RMDs. However, the process described below that I'm going to tell you about can help you avoid that fine even if the deadline had been missed. So let's talk about avoiding fines. Merely taking a required minimum distribution that should have been made in a previous year won't spare you that 50% penalty. Another action is going to be required. After taking such a makeup RMD, attach Form 5329. Additional taxes on qualified plans, including IRAs and other tax-favored accounts, and attach that to your income tax return. With this form, request a waiver of that 50% penalty. Include your own explanation of why you failed to take the RMD and attach it to the Form 5329. You might say that family health problems diverted your attention from your financial obligations. If Form 1040 is not required, Form 5329 can be filed separately. Now, here's the likely outcome of that. The IRS has been willing to waive this penalty for most taxpayers. Be sure to withdraw any shortfall from your IRA before filing Form 5329. The IRS cannot waive the penalty unless you have already done so. Then write a reasonable explanation on that Form 5329. But things are more difficult if you lag by multiple years, and much more difficult if the IRS discovers a shortfall before you ask for that waiver. What you can expect? The IRS probably will tell you that your request has been accepted, even if it has been. If it is refused, the IRS will simply send you a bill for the penalty. However, before you pay it, write to confirm that your waiver request was actually received. If it wasn't, send them a copy of what you filed. Assuming that you don't get billed after filing for the waiver, once 3 years from the due date of the tax return on which you were supposed to report the withdrawal has passed, you'll be beyond the statute of limitations. That way, you won't owe the 50% penalty. And if Form 5329 is not filed, the statute of limitations does not run. So keep that in mind. Now, here's another strategy for you. Withdraw the required amounts and file Form 5329 as a standalone form for each year that there has been a shortfall. Again, the IRS might not impose the penalty if you have a reasonable explanation. It's important to act quickly. File your appeal before the shortfall has been discovered. Say during an audit and a penalty has been assessed. Once the IRS has served notice that you owe the 50% penalty, getting relief becomes much more difficult. Matter of fact, almost impossible. Now, give this some thought. How about a home sale exclusion? Not all it's cracked up to be. Think about this. Don't assume, as many people do, that the $250,000 exclusion for gain on a home sale, that's $500,000 on a joint return, will protect all the gain in a future sale of your home from tax. The exclusion already has lost more than 20% of its real value to inflation since it was enacted way back in 1997, and continues to lose value at the rate of inflation every year. Now, in addition, the boom during the past few years in the housing market has greatly increased the value of many homes, pushing them toward or over that exclusion limit. The longer you own your home before selling it, the greater the chance that you're going to owe tax on its sale due to the combination of appreciation in the home's value and the exclusion's continuing loss of real value due to inflation. So what do? Keep records of the cost basis in your home. That's the full amount that you invested in it. The cost basis will be subtracted from the sales price to compute your gain when you actually sell the home. Now, here's the thing. Include the cost basis expenditures made to improve the home, room additions and remodelings and upgrades to wiring and plumbing, upgrades to the roof and siding, all that kind of stuff. If you have failed to keep cost records for improvements you've made to your home in the past, try to reconstruct them now while you still can. That is going to be the secret of the real success to you getting by this stuff. And I want to tell you, this is good stuff for you to remember. You don't want to forget this. It's just phenomenal things that you can do. These are one of those few areas that if you do it right, the IRS is happy to help you. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about an opportunity. Now, don't miss these surprising medical expense deductions that I'm going to give you. Some things that you wouldn't normally think would be deductible for you, but absolutely are. And boy, sometimes it's just a matter of using your imagination. But boy, there's some fantastic things here. You're not going to want to miss them, and I'm going to tell you all about them right after these brief messages. We've got a lot of great show left for you. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses: website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:48 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 68 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire, on its way to 53 degrees in sunny Southern California. And I mean, it is a beautiful day in Southern California. Reminds us of why we actually live here. If you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 43 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 45 degrees with scattered scattered clouds. But right now, here's an opportunity for you. Do not miss these surprising medical expense deductions. Stop everything else you're doing and pay attention. You might even want to take some notes here. And just remember that these things will be on our archives if you want to, if you don't get them right now and you want to rehear them. You know, the IRS and courts have approved many surprising and unusual deductions for medical expenses. Keep these possible opportunities in mind when planning your tax strategies for preparing your tax return. How about this? Topping the hurdle. Medical expenses for items and services prescribed by a doctor for a specific condition are deductible, but only to the extent that their total exceeds 10% of your adjusted gross income, or AGI, and 10% of the AGI if you are subject to the alternative minimum tax as well. Now, to get over this hurdle, you can deduct big ticket items such as, get this, home improvements. If you improve your home to mitigate a diagnosed medical ailment, the cost is deductible to the extent that it exceeds any resulting increase in the value of your home. So let me give you an example. Let's just say central air conditioning to alleviate a respiratory condition. If you spend $12,000 putting it in, but it increases the value of your home only by $8,000, then you've got a legitimate $4,000 medical deduction. Now, to determine how much an improvement increases the value of your home, see a real estate appraiser. Here's some other examples for you. A lap pool or lap swimming pool. When swimming was prescribed by a doctor as treatment for a condition, and the individual was allergic to chemicals in the water of a public pool, and no other public pool was available, that becomes deductible. How about an attached garage when a doctor advised the homeowner to avoid cold winter air? Yeah, and you drive into the garage, you close the garage door, you go in through the inner door. That's what we're talking about here. How about this? An elevator for a person with a heart condition or arthritis. I'm talking about an elevator at home, right? Now, improvements to accommodate a disability are fully deductible without regard to any increase in value of the house. So keep that in mind. That's the Disabilities Act. Now, included in that would be a modification or lowering of kitchen cabinets and counters, or certain bathroom modifications, including railings and support bars, rampways into a home, widening of doorways and halls. How about grading the ground around the home to ease access to it? Medically related improvements to property that you rent are fully deductible if you are not compensated for their cost by your landlord. Here's an example of that. On your doctor's advice, you install a bathroom on the ground floor of a house that you rent to avoid having to climb stairs. Your landlord permits you to do so, but does not pay any of the cost. You can deduct as a medical expense the full cost that you pay for installing that bathroom. Now, operating costs, including electricity, maintenance, and repair of air conditioners, elevators, and chair lifts, and other improvements that qualify for medical deduction, also are 100% deductible, if you can isolate what those costs are. How about this? Expenses paid for others. You can deduct medical expenses that you pay for persons who qualify as your dependents. For tax years after December the 31st of 2004, the definition of a medical dependent was changed. It now includes married individuals, even with their own dependents. There is no test for gross income. So what you want to do is take a look at the Working Families Tax Relief Act of 2004. So let me give you some examples. A retired parent who doesn't live with you, when you pay more than half the parent's support, such as with when a parent is in a nursing home. So, give that some thought. How about a person for whom you obtain a dependency exemption by filing Form 2120, Multiple Support Agreement? This enables a group of individuals who jointly support a person to obtain a dependency exemption and to assign it to one of them in the multiple cases, even when no one member of the group pays more than half of that recipient's support. How about this? A child after divorce, even when the dependency exemption for the child is claimed by your formal spouse. Here's the rule. When either divorced spouse claims a dependency exemption for a child, each spouse can deduct medical expenses that each spouse actually pays for that child. But gifts of medical payments on behalf of anyone in any amount paid directly to a healthcare provider are not subject to gift tax. So keep that in mind as well. You want to make sure you make these payments properly. How about travel? If you or a dependent must travel for medical reasons, the cost of travel and lodging is deductible as a medical expense. The cost of meals generally is not deductible. So let me give you some examples. A person who was advised by a doctor to move to a different part of the country with an environment better for the person's medical condition found that he could claim a medical deduction for some moving costs. If you think that you have similar situation, check with your accountant. That's what you really want to do. Let's see here. I'm getting bombarded with messages here, so I can get those things taken care of. Now, how about this? Parents who sent a child to boarding school in Arizona to alleviate the child's respiratory ailment were allowed by the tax court to deduct the child's travel and room and board costs. Or the cost of attending a conference that represents or presents information about chronic disease affecting the taxpayer or a dependent are also deductible. And did you know that when one stays at a hospital or other medical facility, meal charges imposed by the facility are also deductible for you? Everything. In deducting medical-related travel costs, airfares and other travel fares, including taxis, are deductible at their full cost. Think about that. It's not a mileage issue, but you can get mileage if you're not using a taxi. Keep that in mind. Here's some frequently overlooked items. Do not miss deductions for the cost of equipment used to alleviate a medical condition, such as a portable air conditioner or humidifiers and dehumidifiers, and their operating costs. You get the cost too, so you can prorate those things. How about weight loss programs? When prescribed as a treatment for a specific medical condition, such as high blood pressure, it's going to be deductible. Smoking cessation programs, they're deductible. Cosmetic surgery when utilized to alleviate a medical condition rather than merely improve the appearance. So let me give you an example of that. Let's just say a hair transplant surgery to improve one's appearance is not deductible, right? But surgery to remove skin folds that remained after a formerly obese person lost a large amount of weight is deductible as part of a treatment for obesity. Now, a wig purchased on the advice of a physician for the mental health of a patient who lost their hair due to a disease, that's deductible. How about clarinet lessons when prescribed to alleviate a child's overbite? Unbelievable, right? You never really thought these things, did you? Not really. Now, here's the thing. Do not go away, because waiting in the wings is our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless. Joel hasn't been with us for a couple of weeks. I know that he went to the wireless convention. He came back with all kinds of stuff. He's been wanting to tell us all about that for the last couple of weeks. And I happen to know that he just landed in an airplane early this afternoon, and we're glad that he's waiting in the wings to talk to us now. So don't go away. We'll be with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time, actually 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently 68 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our global syndicate and you're in London, England, it's 43 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, 32 degrees and partly cloudy. And waiting in the wings, waiting for us right now, is our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Welcome aboard, Joel. Good to have you back.
Good to be back, Robert. How are you?
I'm good. So you were flying in today. You just kind of made this by the skin of your teeth, didn't you?
I did. It sounds like I missed Armageddon as far as weather a few days ago.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know where you went, but I'm going to tell you, you came back to just magnificent weather.
I couldn't agree more. I was in Florida, and it was just beautiful. I don't think I saw a couple of raindrops the whole week, which is unusual, but I heard you got them all here.
Oh, yeah, we got them all here. So what were you doing? Were you with the advance man for Marco Rubio in Florida?
Not quite, Robert, not quite.
So
I did have a business meeting there, but I was primarily there also to see my family. So it was a little business, a little bit of pleasure.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're safe. And so you're going to be around town for a while, or are you going to be?
I'm here for a few months before I go anywhere. So back to reality.
Oh, so you're going to want to take advantage of all the great surfing that's going to be taking place in a couple of months here, huh?
As soon as that water becomes unpolluted, I heard it got very polluted, and they have super bacteria and all kinds of scary stuff out there right now. So
yeah. You know what?
Have to be careful.
You know, the idiots that seem to be running our governments around here and keeping us safe and secure don't seem to be doing a very good job.
No, for the most part they don't, but there are some glimmering exceptions, and I'm going to give you one right here.
All right.
Verizon spokesman Richard Young was talking about Verizon, and he says, they give customers choices about how we use their data. And over the past year, we've made several important changes to our advertising programs that provide consumers with even more options. Wow. Doesn't that sound wonderful?
Yeah, it sounds good, but you're gonna say "but," aren't you?
Well, you know what that's in response to? Remember we were talking about those zombie cookies, those super cookies that Verizon was inserting into web traffic to identify customers in order to deliver targeted ads from them to their third parties. And they were selling this information, and they never, bad enough that they would do this, It's bad enough that they never, ever disclosed that they were doing this they started in late 2012 until 2014 when they were called on the carpet for it. And the FCC obviously said the super cookies overrode consumers' privacy practices, that the FCC had said on web browsers. Bottom line, Verizon got fined $1.35 million, and under their new agreement, they have to now disclose and give an opt-out. They didn't even give an opt-out option, so you had no choice if you're a Verizon subscriber, and there's 100 million of them.
Well, you know what?
Opting out of this.
Finding them $1.3 million is like doing
a drop
nothing
in the bucket.
Yeah.
I agree. They made that and then some, and probably in what they sold to those third-party companies. But the good thing is, what I'm pointing out is the FCC actually did something good for consumers. Verizon now has to disclose that they're doing this, and they have to offer an easy opt-out for their users, which I think is wonderful.
Well, you know what? Instead of making them offer an opt-out for the users, they ought to require the users to opt in if they want it.
I couldn't agree more. In a perfect world, if the Democrats agreed with the Republicans, maybe we could do that.
Like that's going to ever happen.
So anyhow, I thought that was interesting because we talked about that topic and how we thought it was despicable, and it's nice to see that there is some justice. I'd rather see it be, $13.5 million instead of 1.35, but you do what you got to do.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you that the president of Verizon still wasn't happy about the fine, but it's a nothing fine. So
No, I agree with that. And you recall we were talking about that Hollywood Presbyterian hospital that got hacked with the ransomware, and they ended up paying the fine.
Yes.
And we were thinking, well, that's too bad, but we use Apple, and we're impervious to that kind of stuff because it's always Windows that they're targeting. Well, they're now targeting Apple.
Oh, really?
They had their first ransomware case against Apple recently.
No,
so apparently,
individual businesses that are using it, or Apple themselves?
No. This is bad guys that are targeting Apple users. It's hackers unleashing ransomware on Apple's Mac computers for the first time.
Wow.
See, up until now, we've been pretty much impervious.
Yeah,
we were just such a small, there's so few desktops, Mac desktops compared to Microsoft. Most businesses use Windows. But I guess the hackers are now looking at alternate opportunities, so to speak.
So what do you think? What is Apple going to do to try and safeguard the people on this thing?
Well, they'll do what everybody else does. What I recommend is there's really not a lot they can do, but as far as the public, there's three things that the public can do that are, can eliminate the probabilities. And the first thing is don't click on weird links.
Yeah.
Even if you get a link from a friend, if the link looks funky, don't open it. That's how these things expose the malicious viruses. The other thing is update all applications, like iOS, because a lot of times, these newer apps come out with, they close these loopholes. Mm-hmm. And if you're running old software, you may not have the latest fix, to fix these bugs. And the other thing, obviously, is regularly back up all your data.
One of the things that I do, because I'm paranoid about this, I have Apple products, but I also have Windows products. And so when I get emails, unsolicited emails, I just erase them. I don't even open them.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't open them on my Windows.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to open them, I'll open them on my iPhone, or I'll open them on my one of my Apple machines. But if they're, if they totally look weird, I don't open them. If it's from a friend of mine, in fact, I actually had a friend of mine call me today saying that he had gotten an email from a mutual friend of ours, and it was a link. And he asked me, he said, I don't normally open these things, but it's from our, Scotty, our friend. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Should I? I said, no, give him a call. I wouldn't open it.
No.
So I'm sure it was malicious. So what happens is these malware bugs get into your address book, and they start sending emails to everybody in your address book. Hey, I got a cool link. Check this out.
Yeah.
And if they open it up, then it's bad news.
Bad news. Hey, listen. So you had a report for us from the International or Worldwide Wireless Symposium or something.
Oh, the Mobile Congress.
Yeah. You.
There was.
We never got.
That's right.
Yeah, we never got to that thing. Was there anything exciting coming out of there?
Yeah, of course. Couple interesting things. They had something. They've got a new Samsung camera, 360-degree, 30-megapixel camera that interfaces with the S7. It's a standalone, kind of like a virtual reality camera that will cover your life from any angle. I thought it was pretty cool. I saw something that was really interesting called. It's basically a thermal heat imaging smartphone.
Thermal heat.
So in other words, if you're an electrician, a plumber, a contractor, it's a ruggedized phone that does something no other smartphone does. It can see through walls.
Wow.
It can detect heat. Heat signature. So if you're a plumber, or you're doing windows, you want to know whether there's any leakage. You can actually detect heat with these things. So it's pretty interesting. Never seen anything like it. It can detect. It's got a thermal heat imaging sensor that works up to 100 feet away. So it's the ultimate phone for construction, plumbers, electricians, and anybody else who, looking for heat signatures.
Oh yeah, and it's probably just an application based on an old military application, right?
That's what it appears to be.
Huh.
So that was cool. And Sony came out with some new models just when you thought they were dead. They came out with an X and an XA model, the Xperia models, and some of them are pretty cool. They have one that's waterproof, and it's got an amazing camera. And, we'll have to see how good these are. For a while they were doing some pretty good stuff, and then they seem to kind of get lost like Nokia.
Yeah.
And I think what else was cool? There's a new public Wi-Fi product made by Kiesel, and what it does is it purifies public Wi-Fi. So it makes it difficult, if not impossible, for people to hack you if you're using public Wi-Fi.
So when you say public Wi-Fi, you're talking about like they have at Starbucks, you mean?
Exactly. Anywhere, where you're just picking up on somebody's free network. The airport, Starbucks, any free network. Lots of businesses these days.
Well, I've gotten,
have free Wi-Fi to attract you, restaurants and places like that. And it's very easy for a hacker to name his hotspot Starbucks when he's not Starbucks.
Yeah, you know what? I've gotten
just to pick up passwords.
Yeah, I've gotten so paranoid about that. I just don't use any of them. Even when I go to Kaiser, Kaiser's got their. I don't even get on their system. I'm not interested in it. I turn off my Wi-Fi when I'm going to be doing something like that. I'd rather just use my my phone system. And of course, I've got a hotspot on my phone as well. I
got 14 gigabytes of hotspot on my T-Mobile iPhone. So I never ever have run out of 14 gigs per month. I could watch 6 Netflix movies and still have juice left. So
yeah,
to me, use your own, and that's a good argument, for those hotspots, because it is encrypted. And, I'd rather travel with my own hotspot than use somebody else's, because who knows how secure they are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of hotspots, and I know I mentioned it to you a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, that, I got that AT&T signal booster for my phone. God, this thing.
Right. Night and day difference, isn't it?
Man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is fantastic.
No, they are truly amazing.
Yeah,
truly amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. So,
I recommend that. What you're talking about for your listeners is instead of Wi-Fi devices, which T-Mobile and some of the other carriers use to enhance poor signal in your home, T-Mobile and now AT&T, and I'm sure all of the carriers are offering LTE, long-term evolution. What that is, it's 4G, the 4G platform. They're offering boosters that boost your actual 4G network, so it covers more of your home or office, thus giving you much faster data speeds when you're browsing. If you've ever walked into another room and you start seeing buffering and things slow down, this corrects that problem.
Yeah, this has been really great. So, what about new products? Is it just new when you went to the this wireless thing? Is it just new apps, or do they have new products as well?
Well, I didn't go to this actual one. I had one of my associates who was there, and we did some teleconferencing. This one's in Barcelona, Spain. I would have loved to have gone, but I couldn't because I had already committed to going to Florida.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You passed on Barcelona, Spain to go.
Well, nobody sent me a ticket. Let me make it clear. It wasn't like they caught me and sent me a ticket.
Okay.
So, but I would have loved to have gone to that show. But to answer your question, the LG G5 new LG model looks beautiful. It's kind of they have a few things they're doing. I don't know if you remember, we talked about Project Era, which is like modular phones where you can replace components. Well, this has kind of that same, it's not Project Era, it's not quite as modular as that, but it's got some attachments that you can attach to the device, which were pretty amazing. One of them was a virtual reality product. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, basically the same thing. We got newer phones, some new features, bigger processors, bigger screens, great cameras. So I think that seems to be, the cameras are getting better, the lenses are getting bigger, the batteries are getting better.
Yeah. At what point do your smartphones, even especially any of them actually, but now that they've got such great pixel definity and such, at what point do they absolutely eliminate these major cameras and film stores and stuff like that?
And tablets. I just spent a week in Florida with my brother, who just moved up to the 6S Plus from a 6, and he hardly ever uses his iPad anymore. He loves this thing. It's big. He says it's not too big for his pocket. He carries it around. He says he can't imagine going back to a 6 or a 5S now after using this thing. And I was playing with it, and it really is manageable. I think my next phone is going to be probably a...
So the 6S Plus that's the one we've been talking about that was so much larger, right?
Exactly, 5.5 inches. But it's got 2 million megapixels versus 1 million on the 6. So, and it's got a better battery.
Yeah, my kids have it, and I keep looking at it, and they didn't like it at the beginning. I think I mentioned that to you, and now they've kind of acclimated to it.
Well, I'll tell you why it's a good idea, because if you need a bigger battery, I was having battery issues on my 6. Mm-hmm. So if you recall a few shows back, I talked about how you can find a darnest thing at Marshall's and Ross's. Yeah. Well, my brother wanted to walk into Marshall's for something, and I walked in, and they had brand new Mophie cases, the Mophie Air cases for the 6 for $49. They normally sell for like $100, $120. So I got a brand new Mophie case for $49 for my 6, and now my battery's fantastic. Yeah. But the phone is probably as big as the 6 Plus.
Yeah, I hear.
So I'm thinking, well, this thing doesn't feel it actually feels better in my hand because the 6 was just too skinny. So with the Mophie case, it's way more comfortable. So I'm thinking I probably wouldn't mind the bigger 6 Plus. So I think I'm going to wait for the 7. Which it should be out the 3rd week of September.
So yeah, but knowing you're not going to just wait for the 7. You're going to wait for the 7, and you're going to wait for some reports to see if it was worth buying right away, right?
I won't be one of those guys standing in line the night before, the week before at the Apple stores. You can count on that.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Hey, listen, we got to take a short break. What are we going to talk about when we come back?
A couple of things. We're going to talk about a new innovative laser-focused type of social marketing, and we're going to talk about the Dr. Wireless How Do You Like Me Now program.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back with Dr. Wireless Joel Saltzman after these brief messages. Do not go away.
This Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Joel, you got the microphone, my friend. Anything new with providers other than Verizon who got forced into being ethical?
As a matter of fact, yes, there is some new stuff. We watched the models change from contracts to financing to leasing. Verizon just announced that they're not going to roll with this lease stuff. They're into the financing right now. I can still do contracts with Verizon, but they don't want us to. They're not advertising it. They're trying to push everybody into the finance deals, which I really don't have a big problem with for the most part. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing is people are creatures of habit, and the contract model, while had its ups and downs, but the good thing about it is they gave you the immediate $450 subsidy instantly. And the bad thing about it is they didn't really disclose until recently that they were charging you an extra $20 a month for 24 months to recoup that.
Oh.
But Now that we know that they were charging us that and they're disclosing everything, I thought contracts were terrific because they protected the end user, meaning the carrier could not change the terms of the contract even if it went month to month versus going on a monthly plan where they can change it as much as they want. So there's never been a better time for contracts because they now protect the user, not the carrier as they initially did. The reason they don't protect the carriers anymore is every single carrier, all four of them, will give you up to $650 to buy out your contract with the other three. So there is no protection anymore for the carriers by being under contract. They're getting burned when one of their competitors takes you. I could take you over from AT&T and put you on Verizon, Sprint, or T-Mobile tomorrow and give you up to $650 to buy out your contract and put you into a new device. So that's the good thing. And what's interesting is Sprint, who did away with contracts about a month ago, just brought them back.
Huh.
So we now have contracts again with Sprint. And why? Because the public wants them.
Yeah, you know what? You and I had this conversation, and I kept thinking to myself, they keep changing this stuff. And honestly, I like the contract. And I don't think you do, but I do. No,
I do. I do like the contract. You know who likes the contract? 1% of Verizon users that are still on their unlimited data plans, which they haven't offered in 4 years.
Yeah.
Why do those people still have those plans? Because they haven't offered them in 4 years. Surely their contracts are done. Well, they're on month to month, and Verizon's trying to move them over to their newer plans, and these folks are saying, no, I'm happy. I don't mind paying full pop for my own phone. And that's the benefit of a contract plan, even once it reverts to month. You have protections with that plan, and the carrier is not going to monkey around with the terms, with the plan. They are going to leave you on it, and they're going to grandfather you, and anybody new who signs up. Now, if you change your plan or for whatever reason, you can never go back to those. So that's why contracts are good.
Yeah. How about that? You were telling me before about one of the programs that they had on this leasing thing, that what you liked about it was you always have the latest and greatest what's going on. So if you're leasing an iPhone 6S Plus and they come out with a 7S Plus, they immediately exchange it for you. Now, I think that's not, depending on what they charge you on this lease, that's really not a bad deal.
Well, there are some exceptions to the lease program. Sprint has something that they call Mobile as a Service, MAAS. And if you're a big company, leasing does have advantages because what it does is it can bring down the cost to $10 or $15 per device. And it just becomes very, very cheap, and the device becomes a commodity, as long as you have insurance to cover yourself. T-Mobile has the best deal in terms of they have like an early upgrade program, which is essentially similar to a lease deal, but the issue is the insurance is built in. So that's the big problem. If the device is lost or stolen or water damaged, you have to replace it with the same.
Yeah.
You can't take a 5S you have in a drawer and say, hey, do an ESN change. You could do that on the finance program.
Yeah, I've gotten so accustomed to just buying the phone that I want to have, and it's mine, and I own it, and I've always liked that. And I don't like spreading these payments out because there's going to be a cost in there somewhere. And so, but then when you had made that comment to me a number of months ago that looking at this lease thing is really not that is kind of interesting because I've got the 5S. But you know what? At some point, I'm going to have to upgrade. I'm guessing, and when I do, it's going to cost me $600, $700, $800. And if I buy it as opposed to $25 a month if I lease it, and then if they get another new one, they just replace it.
Well, yes, if that's true. I prefer the finance model. I'd rather pay. Here's the thing, Robert. If you're buying a Rolls Royce, it's going to cost you $100,000, and you can lease it and, pay a fraction in the monthly. Mm-hmm. It's like buying a house, to me. But now if you're buying a phone, the cost between financing and leasing is not that big. And I would personally rather finance a device. It's $27.09 a month for 24 months. You own the device after. Now, let's say the 7 comes out in September. Well, if I purchased it, you can always upgrade at that point. Pay the difference. You can buy it. What I would do is pay the phone off. The beautiful thing about T-Mobile on their finance deal is they allow you to accelerate payments. So if you want to double up, so it's only a 1-year contract instead of a 2-year. If you want to pay it off, which I would recommend paying it off, selling it. I mean, obviously a 5S today is probably worth $250. Maybe $3 if it's clean, depending on the memory. So, I mean, you just apply that towards your, purchase price on a new one. And if you're doing it month to month, it's not that big a deal. So I just don't believe that the leasing thing for some people is good. For me, I have a problem with it.
Now, does everyone, because I got the impression, and I'm thinking now maybe it was a false impression, and I got the impression that you weren't going to be able to buy your phone anymore. You were going to have to get on one of these leasing programs. But can I still walk into an Apple store and buy a 6S if that's what I want?
Absolutely. Not only can you buy one, but they will offer you finance programs, lease. I think they want to get you on the lease program too. But yes, you can buy them. You can buy them at, the big retailers. Samsung's going to probably come out with a direct program. So yeah, there'll always be the model where you can buy it outright, full pop. And the contract model will be available to some degree. But Robert, it's not the cost of the device. That is the smokescreen that the carriers have always used. It's the rate plans that people have to be concerned with.
Yeah.
And I have a new program. We call it the Doctor's How Do You Like Me Now Carrier Billing Audit Program. And for so many years, I got paid to activate phones. I've activated thousands of phones, as big as Samsonite suitcases and fixed car phones to the latest, greatest smartphones. And the carriers always paid me, and our model was the carrier paid me and the customer didn't.
Yeah.
And recently, the carriers are paying peanuts for activations, and I found that my knowledge that I've accrued since 1990 is worth so much more than the peanuts they're paying us to activate phones that we changed our billing model and our marketing model a bit. Mm-hmm. And basically, what we're doing now is for people with businesses of 10 lines or more, mm-hmm. we're offering a complimentary carrier plan billing analysis. And here's how it works. These folks can contact me and provide me with their company's carrier name, their billing account number, and their PIN. I'll access their account, and I will work with their carrier and do a detailed billing analysis to see what they're paying and how much I can save them. And I can often get rates far better than the published rates that the carriers advertise. And what I do is I do this consultation, and I present the findings free, no charge. Now, if they want me to implement the findings, for example, I recently had an account that we stayed with the same carrier, but I changed the rate plans and consolidated a few things, and I saved this company $1,204 a month in savings. That's that was like with 50 lines. But let's say a company with 10 lines, 15 lines, traditionally I can save about $200 a month just by negotiating for these companies, using my skills and resources and knowing exactly how much these carriers, will go before they walk you. If I can save a company $200 a month, basically what I do is I charge that $200 times 3. So I want 3 months worth of the savings for saving them $200 a month for the rest of their lives.
That makes sense.
So see what I'm saying? So it's no money out of their pocket if I talk to the company and they say, okay, well, that's great. You can save us money, but we're not interested. Mm-hmm. I'll walk out of there. It doesn't cost them anything. And, but most companies usually when they hear I can save them that kind of money, they're thrilled to pay me because obviously they're going to save every single month.
It's a no-brainer.
So new model, it's effective. And I found so far in the 11 of these I've done, better than 90% of them, I've been able to save money. I had one guy who must have been brilliant because he had negotiated the best possible deal, as good as I could get. One time that's happened. A few times, it was $20, $50 savings, but generally it's big savings.
Wow. So
anybody out there, doesn't matter what carrier, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, as long as it's one of the big four carriers, if your business has 10 lines or more, I guarantee you that I can save you money. And if I can, it doesn't cost you a penny. How's that for a guarantee?
Can't do better. You can't do better than that. And, and let me add something else. If you want to do business with somebody who has integrity and is as honest as the day is long, you can't beat Dr. Wireless Joel Saltzman. I can tell you that from personal experience.
Well, I've been doing this since 1990. I've been incorporated since 1997. I have never, ever, ever, ever been sued by anybody. Find one business in the wireless industry that can make that claim.
Yeah,
I dare you.
Well, and you know what, and that's quite a statement to make. I used to do a lot of public speaking, and I go around to businesses, and I would always tell them, when you're in business, a substantial business, it's not a matter of will you get sued. It's a matter of when will you get sued, because there's these lazy people out there that just got to find some way of getting into your pocket, whether it be warranted or not.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So you're saying a lot.
Anyway, one last thing I wanted to point out. I promised you an innovative, laser-focused way of social marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved in, and this is primarily within the United States. I don't know that your international users would be able to take advantage of this, but within the U.S. and especially on the West Coast, California region, I have an amazing opportunity for advertising. It's laser focused social marketing. It's a live way. People have always used the media, newspapers and magazines and print ads, and there's a very short shelf life for that stuff. We have a way now. We're using the internet, and by advertising on certain websites, you can create brand awareness, and it's there 24/7. So I have a unique way of advertising for as low as $200 a month. It's crazy. But anybody out there who's interested in a very unique way of getting to people, primarily the people we're targeting are outdoor enthusiasts, beachgoers, surfers, suppers, fishermen, boaters. But anybody who wants to tap that market, I have the most effective way to get to these people without getting some old lady in Omaha, Nebraska. This is 100% targeted and just a remarkable opportunity.
Well,
and anybody interested, Joel at drwireless.com, or they can go to our site, www.drwireless.com, and we do have this up currently. And it's if they go under About Us, they'll see doctors advertising deals.
Okay, so we got
amazing stuff.
And you know what? And I would encourage our listeners that can take advantage of that to go ahead and do it. We got a few seconds left. I wanted to ask you something, and now I've actually forgotten what the hell it was I wanted to ask.
I hate when that happens.
I had.
But while you're thinking about that, you remember we're talking about the Australian shark deterrent technology?
Yeah.
Well, that company has marketed the product or going public. It's called Shark Mitigation Systems. I only wish I thought of the idea. And they have two products that they're marketing, and one of them is what they call it's a cryptic pattern, and it kind of allows a surfer to blend in. They've determined, I don't know how, but they've determined how a shark sees. So the first technique is using this cryptic disruptive coloration and shaping from the perspective of the shark. The second one uses an overt pattern, unlike any shark prey, like a seal, and this uses stripes. And I wouldn't want to be the subject matter. I don't know how if they're talking to a white shark and he's saying, okay, well, I won't bite this. I don't know how they get this information, but it's pretty fascinating. They're going public. Anything that you can do to mitigate, reduce the odds that you're going to get bit is probably worth checking out.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
but I thought that was interesting.
It is. Hey, now I know what I wanted to ask you. Remember we had the conversation and I put on the Windows 10 on my computer and I was really, as a matter of fact, got it through your website. That's how I was able, I was like one of the first people to get it, and I love it. But I continually get this message about upgrading my Windows 8. And I suppose it's sitting out there in the background somewhere, but I'm running on Windows 10. Is there any reason I shouldn't erase Windows 8?
You should get rid of it. And yes, I have the same exact problem on my Windows. This is one, I just went back to a MacBook Pro. Because I got so tired of this. I even had my IT guy come in here. He could not find it running in the background. I have a problem on my Windows 10. Every time I launch Outlook, my email, I cannot launch it. It gives me an error message, access denied, contact the administrator. Well, I'm the administrator, but there's two programs in there. And one of them is, I'm the administrator. The other one, I don't know who is. But for some reason, I have to right-click my Outlook and then click launch as administrator. I can't launch it as me.
Crazy
and my IT guy can't figure it out. We searched in there, and there's something else running in the background that we can't find.
All right. Hey,
and that's what you got going on, I guarantee.
Yeah, probably so.
I'll see if I can find mine, I'll be able to find yours. So if I can solve my issue, I'll let you know.
All right. Hey, Joel, have a great evening. Stay safe, stay happy. Make everybody around you glad that they know you, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Likewise. Have a great weekend.
All righty. Now, for the rest of you listeners, don't forget to stay tuned. We're going to do our birthdays of the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless fact. We've got some great stuff coming up. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:43 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 74 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, actually, I think I already said that. It's 43 degrees and clear. But if you're in Tokyo, Japan, it's 43 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Sydney, Australia, listening to our show, well, it's 75 degrees and clear. But right now, let's talk about the Harvard business tip of the day. And the management tip today is make learning a habit. Yeah, you heard me right. You know, if you want to keep growing, you need to make learning a habit. Now, to get started, be specific about what you're asking yourself to do. Resolutions like read more or learn new things are just too vague. Your goals need to be concrete and measurable. Spend 2 hours every Thursday afternoon reading all the articles that I've saved during the week. Schedule the time on your calendar and resist the temptation to do other work during that window. Monitor your behavior closely to push yourself in the right direction. If you know that some of your coworkers make on-the-job learning a habit, go out of your way to spend time with them. Studies show that we tend to pick up habits from the people around us. And the most important thing to remember, we must shape our habits to suit ourselves, our own nature, our own interests, our own strengths. When we understand ourselves, we can apply habit-forming strategies with the greatest chance of success. Just keep that in mind. It wasn't me that came up with that. That was Harvard University that came up with that. Must be something to it. Well, let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. And this is all about, as I mentioned, every day, it's all about a positive mental attitude. You absolutely are in control of your future. You control whether you're happy, you're sad, you're rich, you're poor, you're a success, or you're a failure. You control how people feel around you. And it's all about a positive mental attitude. You actually control those things. Don't say you're lucky or unlucky. It's all depending on you. Now, the secret for today is human beings are made up of two things: their beliefs and the truth. Now, when you let go of your beliefs, you'll see more of the truth. The greatest human beings who have ever lived had the courage to let go of beliefs, and they became the truth. They showed us the way. Yep, absolutely. Well, it's time for, something special. And that is, what day is it? Well, it's Wednesday, and it's March the 9th, and it's somebody's birthday. We've got some great birthdays for today. You're going to love these, I think. There's a fellow born in 1940, passed away in 1994. He was a Puerto Rican, star of Kiss of the Spider Woman. Happy birthday, Raul Julia. And here's a guy that we all have heard of, born in 1943, died in 2008, the 11th world chess champion. He is widely considered one of the greatest chess players of all time. Happy birthday, Bobby Fischer, yeah. And finally, born in 1964, an actress who's appeared in more than 40 films since 1983. Happy birthday, Juliette Binoche. Yes. And so you ever wonder what's going on today in history? Well, I'm about to tell you. On March the 9th in 1932, the very first Ford flathead engine leaves the assembly line at Ford Motor Company, 1932. Probably a lot of you out there don't even know what a flathead engine is. But I do. I had one, as a matter of fact. On March 9th, 1959, the Barbie doll was debuted. Yep, 1959. Give that some thought. And in 1967, Joseph Stalin's daughter, Svetlana, defects to the United States. Can you imagine Joseph Stalin's daughter defects to the United States of America? Wow. And in 1990, Dr. Antonia Novello is sworn in as Surgeon General of the United States, becoming the very first female and Hispanic American to serve in that position. Wow. Give that some thought. Some of the things we take for granted really haven't been going on that long, if you think about it. Well, the quote for today comes from Hazel Marie Elliott, Maddie, as a matter of fact, they call her. And she says, happiness and sadness run parallel to each other. When one takes a rest, the other one tends to take up the slack. Give that some thought. Well, what's that leave? That leaves us with interesting but useless facts. We've got a number of them, so let me give you some to ponder on. The original name for butterfly was flutterby. Yep. Believe it or not, that's the truth, though. You need 120 drops of water to fill a teaspoon. That's interesting. 120 drops, huh? Did you know that Andorra, a tiny country on the border between France and Spain, has the longest average lifespan? It's 83.49 years. I didn't say the longest lifespan. I said the average longest lifespan. The average. Gosh, that sounds... I'm not happy with that. 83. At my age, I want it to be older than that. Did you know that boron nitrate, Bn, is the second hardest substance known to man? There's something for you to think about. And more than 1 billion transistors are manufactured every single second. Now give that some thought. Well, the most common way to effectively treat venomous snake bites is with anti-venom. Yeah. And let me leave you with this one. Males bowerbirds build and decorate nests to be used exclusively for mating. They ornament the nests with flowers, bits of string, berries, feathers, even pieces of glass or brightly colored papers. After these decorations are in place, the male bowerbird paints the entire nest with blueberry juice that is extracted by pressing the berries in his beak. After the courtship and mating has taken place, the nest is deserted and a separate one is constructed for rearing the young. Give that some thought. And I'll leave you with this. Insects are cold-blooded. Yeah. Don't go away. We got a lot of great show left for you. When we come back, I'm going to answer your emails. The first one comes from Tristan Eberhardt from Linden, New Jersey, asking about a non-custodial parent. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. Aho Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're coming down to the wire. Time for me to answer your emails. And as I said, the first one comes from Tristan Eberhardt from Linden, New Jersey, asking about non-custodial parents and says, my husband and I have a child who lives with him. If I pay most of our child's support, can I claim the dependency exemption? Can I also file as a head of household to get the lower tax rates? Well, Tristan, you can claim the dependency exemption as a non-custodial parent if your husband signs Form 8332. That's release of claim to exemption for a child of divorced or separated parents. Now, while you cannot file as a head of household because the child didn't live with you for more than half the year, your husband might be eligible for it. So let's take a look at publication 501. That's exemption, standard deduction, and filing information. Also know that form 8332 has 2 boxes on it. You want to be really careful with it. One box gives you the exemption for just 1 year, the existing year. Other box gives it to you forever. So you keep that in mind. You might even want them to make that mistake. Who knows? Anyway, next email comes from Faith Cagney from Baltimore, Maryland, asking about conditional gifts. And says, if I give my fiance a valuable engagement ring, will it be subject to gift tax? Well, you know what? Sounds to me like it's the fiance who's asking this question. You can make gifts worth up to $13,000 to any individual annually and not owe a gift tax. And if you marry in the year that you give the ring, it's also okay because spouses' gifts to each other are tax-free, and marital status at the end of the year governs for the full year for tax purposes. So if you get married December 31st, the government says you've been married since January 1st for tax purposes. If the ring's worth more than the $13,000 and you don't marry in the year that you give it, state law is going to determine whether it's a gift or not. In some states, an engagement ring is deemed a conditional gift that must be returned if no wedding occurs, so no federal tax would apply. But in a state where the gift of the ring is deemed completed gift that the recipient's entitled to keep, even if there's no marriage, then gift tax absolutely does apply. So keep that in mind. Next email comes from Gannon Gallagher, from Danville, Virginia, asking about IRA contributions, and writes, I made a $4,000 contribution to a traditional IRA last year. At year end, I got a bonus that made my income too high to deduct the contribution because I'm a participant in a qualified plan. Can I take it out of the IRA? Well, you know what, Gannon? You can withdraw the contribution and the earnings and accrued that accrued on it within the IRA without penalty if you do it by April the 15th or October 15th if you did an extension. Now, the withdrawal of the contribution will be tax-free while the earnings are going to be taxable income to you. But you can leave the contribution and the earnings in the IRA by not deducting the contribution. It'll then continue to earn tax-deferred investment returns, and the $4,000 of your future IRA withdrawals will be tax-free on a proportional basis. If you make a non-deductible contribution, record it by filing Form 8606. That's non-deductible IRAs, and that'll take care of that for you. Well, my final email comes from Isabella Garcia from Bellflower, California, asking about innocent spouse. She says, my husband has been cheating on his taxes, and if I file a separate return, can I avoid being liable? Well, Isabel, for the current year, if you file as married filing separately, you'll owe no tax only on your own separate income and not on your husband's income. However, if your husband cheated in past years and you file joint returns for those years, you cannot switch to filing separately for those years. After filing a separate return, you can actually still switch to the filing jointly, but not the other way around. But you may still escape liability for your husband's taxes on your past year joint returns by simply claiming innocent spouse status. Now go to IRS Publications 971, that's Innocent Spouse Relief, and consult a tax pro. Always do that. They're always going to save you more money than they cost you. They're going to give you peace of mind. And one of the conditions of their licensing is that they have errors and omissions insurance, which is the same thing as malpractice insurance. But it does mean that if they make a mistake, they pay the piper. That way you can sleep at night. Don't worry about registered letters. Don't worry about all this kind of stuff. You're in the ballpark. They got to pay the piper, not you. That's our show for today.
Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.